we go.
Cool.
Here we go. Oh, Rachel, I'm so glad that you're able to join us too. I was a little confused. So I'm really excited to have this second session. We have some amazing powerhouse women, and I'm so excited to hear more about their story because we're back and forth online, but we never see each other. So, Rachel, are you struck? There she is.
Hi, sorry, went for a toilet break. Did I miss out anything?
Yeah, looks like we're good to go. So I will have you ladies introduce yourselves, and then we're just going to have a real casual chat, just like the two ladies before. So maybe I'll start with you, Kay. How about tell everybody about you?
Yeah, cool. So I'm Kay. I'm half Singaporean, half English, and we have an amazing company called MeshMinds. We started almost 4 years ago, which is pretty nuts. And we bring together the worlds of art, technology, and sustainability. I'm very, very proud to say that we are the only creative technology studio in the whole of Asia to have an official partnership with the United Nations Environment Programme. So that's us.
That's so amazing. I love that. And Rachel, how about you give yourself a nice little introduction to everybody?
Yeah, sure. Hi, how's everyone? It's an honor to be here. Thanks for the invite. My name is Rachel. I'm a founder of a social media agency called Brackets. So we are based in Singapore. Largely our work is also here in Singapore and some regional work. So with what we do naturally, Spot AR, Instagram filters, and effects come to play. So hope to share with you guys more about my learnings and journey as a Spot AR creator here. Let me know if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, you can just type it right there in the comments. I'm just going to start off by asking Kay, you come from law, like you.
Wow.
You were a lawyer.
Yeah, recovering lawyer. Yeah, exactly. And we're like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, that blows my mind. And now you are running this amazing company. I've always been a big fan of what MeshMind does, and it's super inspiring work. Can you kind of like walk us through what was happening in your life where you were just like done with law,
Yeah.
moving on to something wicked awesome? Because I think there's a lot of people that may be going through this and would love to hear what went on with you.
Yeah, so like kind of all my life since I was really small. So I was born in Brunei and I lived there for the first 10 years of my life. And so I was always kind of surrounded by nature. And so as I went through my life, I was always doing these kind of like nature programs, volunteer programs. I've saved turtles in Spain and Israel and all sorts of different cool things. But then I kind of like went along my career and I was like doing law and I was like, I don't really enjoy this. At the time, I was actually an aviation finance lawyer, which is even more crazy. And then I dropped out because I wanted to have kids. And you can't, you have kids and small kids and do closed deals at 3 a.m. and stuff. So I actually was very fortunate to jump out to head of arts at the British Council because I had a bunch of transferable skills from being a lawyer. They needed my organizational skills, all that kind of good stuff. But then I kind of sold them on like, I'm really passionate about the arts and I know how to bring people together. Please give me a chance. And they gave me a chance. And it was during that I kind of like really honed my skills in kind of bringing people together from different worlds. So my job was all about bringing British artists to Singapore to collaborate together. So after that, then I had to go back to the UK. And then when I was there, I was fortunate to then, so you can't continue to do that job because it's very, very kind of Singapore focused and looking outwards. So I contacted a few people and I got in touch with this guy who's like, I think you should retrain as a tech lawyer. I think you'd be really good at it. You've got some other experiences along the way. You're really passionate about technology. So he helped me to retrain. But then I kind of like fell into it again and I was like, oh God, I got to the point where I was back here in Singapore looking out the window in my special nice suit and thinking, is this really what I want to do? At the time, my boss had given us all a kind of project, and we all had to look at something X tech. And I took out the name in the hat was like property. So I was like, property technology. Oh God, kill me now. So whilst I was sitting there daydreaming and looking out the window, I was like, I wonder what's happening in the world of art X tech. What's happening in the digital art world and all that kind of stuff. That's when I did loads of research, and then I just dropped out after that for good. And that's how the kind of art and tech for good is the kind of basic culmination of all my skills and experience and passion to date. And I think hopefully, finally, I've found something that I really genuinely enjoy, that I kind of get out of bed every morning and go, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do. And I'm so fortunate to work with an amazing array of mostly Singaporeans and some foreign people every day who are also similarly passionate about just bringing together these art and technology worlds for good. So that's kind of our little journey.
Fantastic. I love that story. It's so awesome. I find it really interesting that you actually tried to do this law angle again, and then you're like, no.
Yeah.
Great. So I want to move it on over to you, Rachel. Your business has been around for quite some time now, right? So you founded in 2014. I would love to hear your story of starting your company, mainly focusing on social media, and then how what happened when you found Spark AR? How did you find it? What was going on through your mind when you first started working with it? And then maybe how did you start getting that selling Spark AR as a service into your arsenal?
Oh wow, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, it is.
I kind of saw that question coming, I guess. When I first started Spark AR, I still distinctly remember because it was because of National Day. There was a public holiday. So I decided, since I have the extra bit of time, let's experiment, download it and see where this takes me. I wasn't really necessarily expecting it to be a business or a service I sell it. In fact, till today, even though we specialize in social media, AR filters is not like bread and butter or a bulk of the work we do. It's really of a really small percentage as and when the client is looking for maybe digital engagement ideas, and that's when we will come in and propose that. So when it comes to my exposure with Spark AR or the AR field and VR for the matter, I take on the approach not as a business person, but as a student, a learner, learning something new. And I think through the experience working on the AR filters for Spark AR, gotten exposure into not just your typical graphic design, but also the motion graphics, 3D, some basic scripting and stuff like that. That is actually quite mind-blowing, I guess. I never thought I could do those sort of work because I don't necessarily identify myself as a creator or a designer. So it was more little sampler of things, and then you start diving into deeper into it. It's almost like Alice in the Wonderland. So I try not to complicate things and look into die must monetize it lah. Yeah, it's just really for fun and experiment and keeping up to trends. I guess, Casey, you were once or still in social media field of marketing, so you will know it's important to stay relevant to what's happening. So that was more of my mindset. Yeah, not as a business, but just for fun. Yeah.
It's great. That's how I feel it too. And I think it's always wonderful when you can have a lot of fun, make cool stuff, and make money with it.
Yeah, that's by the fish bonus.
Yeah, a little Venn diagram, I think that's where Spark AR makes that happen for a lot of us.
Yeah, I'm also hearing very similar stories from the ladies before that, from the earlier session.
Yeah, I wanted to talk with you first before heading over to Kay on maybe some of the projects where a client of yours actually said, "Hey, we do want to integrate some AR into that." Can you walk us through one of the projects you've done recently, or maybe one that you're really, really proud of? How did that come about? And what was that project? And what kind of results did you get where it actually satisfied the client?
So you're looking at the more commercial work, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, if I'll be really honest, the commercial projects are kind of disappointing in results. I guess maybe for those who have worked on marketing an AR filter, they might empathize this, where there's a lot of limitations in how you popularize or publicize the AR filter. You have to like pay for the advertising side of things, and I would say right now it's not very advanced. Like in terms of the paid paid portion of the distributing the AR filter, it's very limited, and you have to really lean on writing on influencers, micro influencers, basically getting people to use it in order for it to be seen organically. So I would say the commercial effects are kind of disappointing. I don't really have amazing case studies to share. Maybe Kay would have, because I know MeshMinds has done a lot of like more a government scale kind of projects. Maybe that's bigger scale, because the clients we work with are more like beauty brands, retail brands that are still quite conservative when it comes to paying media dollars to get the effect out. I think a lot of the work comes in convincing client that you need to build that whole ecosystem. You can't just like publish the effect and expect it to take off.
Yes.
Yeah, I did have one that was done last year, but sadly it didn't got published. It was tied to a brand that kind of exited their business in Singapore due to the COVID circumstances. So yeah, unfortunately I couldn't really share more. Yeah.
Darn. Oh, I do agree that especially when you're launching on Instagram for brands, you are quite limited. Even if you're working with a media buyer that is quite quite experienced in doing targeting and retargeting from using filters. But you also have to rely on the community managers that run the Instagram account, and sometimes like brands just don't get that. It's a lot of legwork to get people to use your filters. Like it does take.
Yeah. Always the case.
They see like the crazy organic results from a creator doing one just for fun. It's a lot different when it's a brand. Even just a regular Facebook post, we know that individual profiles get more reach than a business does, and the same happens with the filters. So thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of people watching probably didn't even know that. Kay, so I wanted to switch it on over to you, and maybe you can walk us through one of the environmental program projects that you've done. As somebody who also has an interest for using technology for good, where do you get your ideas for these for these projects? Or maybe you could just kind of share one that you worked on and how those ideas come about.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, the UN basically comes to us with a little brief, and sometimes it's literally a kind of, one side of a Word document, and that's it. They kind of, for example, for Run for Nature, which we did in World Environment Day 2020, it was exactly that. And they said, we want to do something playful. We have cleared with our bosses this year that we don't have to do something really kind of serious and kind of very, very educational. It can be more edutainment, so on the entertainment side. We know that we've got these kind of animals we want to focus on. But other than that, it's just kind of getting people behind it, the For Nature pledge, and to use that hashtag. So we kind of, our usual process is always, go to Lens List, go to the Spark AR community, look at all the amazing lenses that people have and filters that people have already done. And then we will basically, we'll write a concept note in words in terms of like, this is what we understood what you have said to us in terms of bringing to life, your one pager of words. And then we bring it to life using the visual mood board, showing like, okay, you could have a simple face filter. You could have a game that does, blinking, or you could do a head nodding game, all these kind of things. So we zeroed in on the fact that they wanted to highlight jungle environments using an orangutan, basically kind of like piloting through the challenges so that, the poor orangutan needs to avoid bulldozers, for example, and people kind of, deforestation and all that kind of stuff. So we talked to them about the elements that they want to teach, and then kind of like call to action at the end. What can you do? In this one, it was literally just nod your head from side to side to pilot your little orangutan or your polar bear or your sea turtle, because there were 2 other environments. And we used the native picker for the first time to then kind of like select between different games. And then, we got everyone to compete against each other for a high score. So then if I got 50, and then I'm going to tag Casey's, be like, hey, I got 50, how about you get 60? And then, kind of had that ripple effect. None of the projects that we work on with the UN have any media spend whatsoever, like $0. So we are very much in the realm of trying to, exactly as Rachel said, trying to just get people to play, tag their friends, et cetera, et cetera. So for this particular one, the UN does obviously try to help. They have a bunch of people called the Goodwill Ambassadors, and through that network, but they don't always say yes, right? They're also just celebrities or busy people, that kind of stuff. So we were really fortunate to get Dia Mirza, who is the UN Goodwill Ambassador for India. She played along, and she has 4 million followers on Instagram. And suddenly, you can see the data just go skyrocket, right? So we reached, to date, we've reached over 2 million people in 90 countries. We covered every continent bar Antarctica. There was even one person who played in Svalbard, which is the entrance to the Arctic, and who played in Syria at the time was like basically a war zone. So we're like, what? How do these people find this? This is astonishing, right? And that really is the power of social media and AR gaming to reach people from, even our tiny little, we're our tiny little office at the time in Singapore, we're able to reach so many people, So that's been amazing. So it's very much guided by the client, like what the client wants. Do you have any existing assets? What are the features of, what you want to tell people? And then we kind of piece it together collaboratively, actually. It's never a case where we just go in and be like, oh, we just think you should do that. It's always like, how about this? How about that? And we do really, really use a lot of the Lens List type stuff where it's like, have a look at this. I could describe it to you in words until the cows come home, but you really wouldn't understand what I'm talking about until you open it up for yourself. Look at the filter yourself. Play with it. You see how the character moves when you blink your eyes or whatever it is, It's like, oh, okay. And then the penny drops. And they're like, I now know what you're talking about, right? So we are so thankful for, Spark AR community, Lens List, those types of platforms that bring all these amazing creators and their creations together, So
I love it.
Yeah, I just want to add on, like typically you need some references, visualization for them to really get it, because they may not have first-hand experience of all this interaction. Personally, I also like to add on, like, because of how it's easy to prototype things on Spark AR, it actually doesn't take a lot of effort just to show them a small demo. Yeah, so that's like our personal practice.
Cool.
Nice. Rachel, I want to ask you, if you could work on any project, any brand or any partner or anything.
Are you gonna make it happen? Yeah. Sorry, your question.
Who is it going to be? What is the filter going to be for? What is it going to be promoting? Like, have you ever explored this? Like, wouldn't it be cool if I made this?
I guess it would be movement related, and probably it's not going to be like a single category of sort. Like I probably want to work on something that's tied to movement, since a lot of the new development areas for Spark AR applications are in that track line of direction. Probably something that's beauty related, because from my personal experimentation, I do a lot of different genres just to test like the reaction to these effects. So I've done like horror, beauty, those kind of like photo color effects, more motion, dance movements related to quiz related. From my own results, the quiz related ones as well as the beauty related ones take off. Virality wise, they have a better chance of success. So I think if I have to work something that's of my own wish list, probably in those two categories, probably like a mixed bag of things rather than just one single-minded proposition of sort. Yeah. Haven't got a brand of that come to my mind. I think like any brands who willing to buy that concept, I guess.
Help me lose 20 pounds on AR.
Anything like provocative and challenging, I think it's worth a shot. Probably brands that are not too conservative and wanting to see successful case studies. I think like that's the problem with a lot of marketers when it comes to justifying marketing budgets and costs. So they tend to want to see things that have like flew off, and then they want to replicate that. But more often than not, because it's done to death already, then like it doesn't really command a purpose for us to create another similar looking effect. So I think given the whole economy, climate and stuff like that, that might be quite difficult to sell for now. In fact, I'm not sure about the other creators here, but personally I don't see as many requests, briefs for AR filters of late. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that. Please let us know in the comments below.
Probably Boone.
You might know. I'm still getting, even though I'm not connected to one agency, I still get asked about AR filters maybe at least once a month.
That's cool.
So at least and then I refer it to somebody else because I'm not doing it. But that's really interesting that you've seen sort of a cooling period.
Yeah, I think their focus is really a lot on e-commerce. So if there's like AR filters that can drive e-commerce actions, I think that would be sensible.
Yes. All right. So Kate, how about you? I would love to hear, do you have like a dream project you've had tinkering on in your mind? I would love to hear.
You know what, not necessarily kind of dream project, but we really noticed that the power of music is really, really important. Not only kind of including a bit of like audio inside your filter, but musicians generally and the reach that they have. So one of our kind of absolute dreams would to be able to work with some of the musicians that are like, these UN Goodwill ambassadors and see some of our filters being used inside a music video. So like a while ago, there was this guy called Dan, he works at Facebook, and he did some collaboration, right, with some cool music video person. And it's like, no way, you can record a whole music video with the people singing and stuff with the filter on and everything. That is so next level. Like it just blew my mind. And so if we were able to kind of get, dream would be to get one of these musicians to feature one of our awesome, face filters of the future in one of their music videos, and for that to go viral, and then for that whole sustainability message to be carried through the music that they are promoting at the time. That would be really cool.
Oh, that sounds really dope. I would probably play with that filter over and over again.
Yeah, definitely agree, because I think like another observation of like filters that people really enjoy using is when it's closely tied to pop culture, so music, any icons or figures, like, those Disney characters. That's like the duper shit right now.
Yes. Oh my God. There's some filters that are just like classic and you always go back to. Like, you're like, this is just brilliant. Like, I love the really funny ones. I still love that like ocean spray one that somebody made from the meme. I thought it was just like hilarious. But this like possibility of reaching so many people with a simple technology that we can download and create is just amazing. So we're just about to wrap it up. Before we go, I would love for you ladies maybe to share some advice or some tips on moving forward, whether it's picking up Spark for the first time, or maybe changing careers, or implementing technology into what they're already doing. So how about you, Rachel? Do you have anything that you would like to share with women that are here in the
Not too sure who are like the attendees. Are they like fresh grad or like people who are really seriously knee deep in their careers?
maybe like starting out?
Starting out. I mean, like what I shared from the start, just pick it up as a fun tool for experimentation. Like for me personally, like after familiarizing with Spark AR, I actually hopped over to Lens and also check out TikTok. So quite similar to what Angel shared in her earlier session as well. It's always good to suss out what's happening in the AR VR landscape. Don't be too limited in just what Spark AR provides. It's good to actually search for the tutorials beyond like what Spark AR does. There's a lot of YouTubers who are sharing their knowledge and advice out there, as well as following their Facebook groups, checking out what the communities are sharing. That's always like I think the Facebook group is always like my number one source to find out, what's the latest happening. They are really, really very like open to sharing. So it's always a good place to go to for the latest update, or, you have glitches, technical fixes that you need to get done. There's always someone there to really help you. In terms of like career-wise, I would say it's more of like I would say like take this as a side hustle, but it need not be like a full-time career. Because to me, it's always about integration. So you gotta know like how social media works, how people behave on social media, and how you can bring your AR effect as part of the marketing campaigns. Don't be just limited to a silo. And maybe through exploration of the AR filter, you realize that, hey, you got a flair for 3D modeling, you have a flair for texturing the surfaces or scripting, processing. That could be cool too. I guess just don't have to like really restrain yourself to one single silo. That's what I'm saying. To build yourself into like a T-shaped individual, so you kind of like know pockets of little things and explore where you have more passion towards. Yeah, I hope that makes sense for some of you guys here.
Definitely does for me. Yes, I love it. How about you, Kay? Do you have any words of advice or encouragement for anybody?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, even Tim Cook from Apple has gone on record to say, AR is here to stay. It's not a fad. It's something that actually in the future I see people going to be using every single day, right? So, and this isn't just making themselves into a little cat or a dog every day. There's going to be real utility in it in terms of things that we just do every day. Maybe it's like wayfinding or, kind of information finding, world effects, changing the world around you. So I think, there's always going to be demand. I don't think it's something that's gonna just disappear. So the opportunity to come on board and join the industry is very much here. But it's still really new, right? We speak to still a lot of people who's like, no, I've never used it. No, never opened up a face filter. Don't know what you're talking about, right? So, and that's going to change. And, attitudes from brands are also changing. So I think there's a lot of opportunity if you want to kind of get on board and it's as I said, it's not faddy. You're not going to end up kind of wasting your time having spent time, learning all these different things. But don't just stop at Spark, right? There's all sorts of other things out there. There's even, look at the realm of web XR. We haven't even kind of really scratched the surface of that. It's still janky as hell. But that perhaps we do look forward to a time when we're not so tied to the social media platforms of today. Who even knows if in 10 years' time they're even going to be around, right? Who knows, right? So, but they get on board. There's even, you can create Unity, Unreal Engine type of AR experiences as well, right? So it's not only tied to social media. And if you look at kind of trends in terms of, people, if social media is going to be the thing, and that people are going to continue to want to have their own channel. I mean, if you look at kind of even Britney Spears right now, she's like, right, I'm only going to have my audience. I'm going to talk to them myself through my social media channel. And that's how I'm not going to let anybody else publish anything else about me. And if you want to have you want to know anything about what I'm doing, come to my channel, right? Mm-hmm. In that sense, people are always going to be wanting to differentiate what they're doing. And they can use tools like AR to make their offering really unique, really kind of maybe even interactive and all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a huge demand for people who can develop really engaging and beautiful looking things. Mm-hmm. So, continue on that journey. If you're even a tiny bit interested, I mean, I'm so proud and inspired by Rachel, right? Doing coding is just not for me. I'm not in that realm. But so if you're not in the kind of actual hardcore coding, you want to do it yourself realm, there's all sorts of other background people as well, like, the recovering lawyer who can kind of help people to make these experiences, or, you can work with a technical artist, or, there's all sorts of angles to it. So as the industry grows and, there's going to be more opportunities, even if the actual hardcore coding part is not for you, there are other parts of the creative tech process that you can get involved in. So dive in.
Yeah, I love it because that's exactly what I'm seeing right now. Is we're seeing this influx of roles that need to be fit in immersive technology, not just AR, but in VR and other immersive experiences, gaming, anything with the metaverse. And we need more women, in my opinion. It's going to be our children that are going to be using this technology, and I want to say on what it looks like, how safe it is. Like, I want to have a seat at the table in creating technology, and I'm so happy that you ladies are also at the table with me.
Absolutely.
All right, ladies, I know we went over just a little bit more, but I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for experimenting on this new platform and our first event with the AR Association. And if you feel so, please stick around and maybe jump into some networking little tables that we have. And hopefully we will have another event like this soon.
Super. Thank you so much for having us.
Vasey.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.